Pablo Fornals and Thomas Soucek get damned with faint praise, well, that's when they're not getting criticised. But here's the faint praise, and you'll know it'll be familiar. Everybody likes Fornals. Why? Well, but I think it's his personality. People like his attitude. He doesn't stop running. It's his work rate. It's that sort of thing. Those are the sort of things that you hear. Probably there'll be a few more complimentary comments about how he moves the ball forward quickly. But by and large, it's about his work rate. It's about his attitude. You don't hear too many people saying, I love Pablo Fornals being in the team because of his assists and because of his goals. They're not that plentiful. That's the truth of the matter. With Soucek, there's a little bit more criticism, but I think people still appreciate the work rate that he puts in. But when I was discussing with Gio when we're doing our player ratings on our Patreon channel a couple of days ago following the Fulham game, I did ask the question, are we appraising these players poorly? And when I talk about this, Thomas Soucek's passing was atrocious against Fulham. And it often is. I think his first touch is awful. But when I looked at the statistics, and I'm not sure how sound these statistics were, but they seemed right. Thomas Soucek, either when you put them all together, headers, interceptions and tackles, he had more of those in the whole game than anyone in the Fulham team. All the Fulham players put together. Something like that. Basically, it was an outstanding statistic. His defensive contribution to the West Ham team was amazing. And I sort of looked at it and I said to Gio, are we sort of misjudging him? Because when we're looking at the player ratings, and I said to him, are we assessing both Soucek and Fornals poorly? You might look at Soucek's passing performance, you might assess him as being a 2 or 3 out of 10. But maybe, just maybe, David Moyes is looking at this guy, and actually what he wants now is the tackling. So is the interceptions, is the headers. So maybe he's looking at Thomas Soucek's performance thinking, that's exemplary. That's a 10 out of 10. And I've got to say the same with Fornals as well. When we played against Fulham, it was Cresswell doing the attacking. A lot of time it was Fornals doing the defending. Are we assessing them incorrectly? Is it actually Aaron Cresswell who's there to supply Scamacca? And actually, Fornals' role is something quite different. I think I've been assessing him as a winger. And let's be fair, as a winger, he's quite crap, right? But as something different, I just looked at it. I thought, I do wonder if at the end of the game, when David Moyes is talking to everybody in the dressing room, if he's just not patting those guys on the back and saying, well done, excellent. In essence, you've done the job I asked you to do to a T, to a letter. Thank you very much indeed. And maybe, just maybe, that's why he trusts them. Anyway, so for that reason, I'm going to share with you myself and Gio's a conversation that we had over on our Patreon player ratings. And also another feature that's on Patreon, which is Hammerlytics. Now, Jack's got a cerebral way of looking at the game. I mean, it's his job. He looks at football stats. So I said to Charlie, do us a favour, Charlie, have a chat with Jack. See what Jack thinks about those two players as well. I'd be very, very interested to see if they were both as awful as some of us think they might be. If you'd like to hear a lot more about our player ratings, if you'd like to see Jack and Hammerlytics on a regular basis, then you can do so by subscribing to our Patreon page. Patreon is basically an additional channel. We've got 2 Hammers Chat channels. You know, we've got a third one. 31 additional videos in the month of October alone. There's loads of content that you just don't get on YouTube here. Sign up to do that. We've got 3 different tiers, but it is also a great way of just supporting Hammers Chat, which allows us to do this as our jobs and basically put out a load of content across all channels. Anyway, that's enough from me. Over to, me.
Soucek, though. I'll give a 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I
in
just
possession,
just so you know, I already have given him a 6.
In possession, about 2. Out of possession, 9.
Yeah,
Defensively
right.
Terrific.
Yeah.
In possession, I just want to run on the pitch and shake him. I just want to go, just be like, come on. You can do better than this. You are better than this. Come on, let's get going. So I'll give him a 6, and I think he's probably fortunate to get that. There's maybe a little bit of, because we've won, I don't want to mark him down too much, but I don't know. He's the most frustrating player in the team, though, and he's probably
Yeah.
Sometimes a 6 is enough to get you in the GO team of the week for next week. But I'll tell you what, it's not from Soucek because of that sort of in possession too.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely spot on. You preempted exactly what I was going to say. I can't remember, someone put the stats up. Was it on the Addicts WhatsApp group yesterday that he'd done more interceptions and tackles and headers and that than the whole of the Fulham team? Soucek had. It was something like that.
I had a look at last night at the passing, and his passing wasn't actually that bad in terms of like success rate and whatever. It was comparable to Declan.
But we also know what we saw.
Yeah,
which was so much of it is crap. And so, a 45th minute, excellent pass to Cresswell. Really good pass that he made. Actually, saw there were 3 other more obvious passes, and he must have had good peripheral vision for that one. He actually looked like a midfielder at that point. But it's so outstanding defensive work, but it's a complete hindrance to our passing. And it's sort of Rob's talking about Downs doing the job, and I sort of tried to make this point in the video today. It's not like Soucek's the only person who can tackle, because actually you looked at Anderlecht, Downs' tackling was really, really good as well, but you also get the passing. And to be fair, in many respects, I just wanted to play it with a straight back. Who is it? Someone's just said on there. Nicola said 6 is very generous. I mean, to be fair though, Nicola, he deserves a 10 out of 10 for his interceptions and his tackling, his heading. I mean, it was outstanding. But like Gio said, he deserves a 2 out of 10 for his passing. So you just got to try and go somewhere in the middle. I mean, it's such a hindrance. His ball control, his first touch, his passing. I feel it kills the way we play sometimes. But then again, how many goals would Fulham have scored more goals without his tackling? Yes, it would. Yes, they would have done. But I still like to see Downs getting a chance in the Premier League games. But I bet he's one of those players, Soucek, who the team appreciate what he does. I bet he's getting a lot of pats on the back. I bet there's a lot of fist bumps. I bet everybody can remember at least one point during the game when Soucek bailed them out with a tackle or do you know what I mean? Or something like that, recovered a misplaced pass for them. Interesting one though.
Fornals.
He did do a really good pass to Antonio near the end. Antonio came on; it was quite bright. It did what Fornals can do, which is move the ball along quickly without dwelling on it. Bang, and it was in there. It was, but I mean, it's meager pickings. I'm sort of always looking at him, trying to find something that I can say positively in the player ratings the next day. Again, I don't blame him. He shouldn't be playing there. That being said, I'm not going to mark even a silly mark like a 2 or anything, because actually, I do think it worked. Early on in the first half, he was at left back. Funny enough, I've got it here because I wrote it down when it happened. He was at left back pretty much, and he made a really, really good tackle.
He kicked it off someone and got a goal kick off it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really good. It was I called it a rescue tackle. Really good rescue tackle from Fornals.
A rescue tackle.
Yeah, I guess they all are, aren't they? But
is that what they call sperm donors?
A rescue baby.
A rescue tackle.
Oh right, I'll see. I just thought do you know what? I think sometimes you just got to get your mind out of what you perceive to be the shape. And actually, down the left-hand side yesterday, you had a lot of defending from Fornals and a lot of attacking from Cresswell. And maybe, just maybe, that was the tactic. I didn't like it, but do you know what? I guess it sort of worked. How was Fornals' performance overall? I'm going to give him... I almost want to give him a 4 or something. I suspect Fornals... he did his instructions perfectly. That's what I think, which was Cresswell's going to go forward, you're going to defend a bit, and actually that's your job. And I reckon again, when the game was over, David Moyes went, "Excellent, thanks, mate. That's exactly what I wanted." So for that, bearing in mind the job he was given, I'm actually going to give Fornals a 6.
I'm going to give him a 5. Not quite as drastic as Soucek in the sense that he was unbelievably poor in possession, unbelievably amazing out of possession. So it's a slightly narrow discrepancy there, but I can't score Jared Bowen higher than him, that's for sure, because I think Jared Bowen was more wasteful than Fornals. The problem is I think Fornals is a little bit more I don't know how to word this. Sometimes he'll make I think sometimes with Bowen, he makes the right decision. He just can't do it. Whereas with Fornals, I think he makes the wrong decision a lot of the time. There's at one point yesterday, he tried a crossfield ball, and there was no reason to do the crossfield. There was absolutely no need for him to do it. And it didn't work. He just lofted it and just flew out for a throw in. You could see everybody looking at him going, why have you done that? Like, even if it landed at Kerr, we're no further up the pitch. You've just switched it from left to right. We weren't on the attack. It's not like that. It's not like Fulham have overcommitted on your side. So you're switching over to expose their lack of players on that side. Everybody was at a standpoint. You just did it for the sake of doing it almost. It was almost like I'm bored of passing to Rice. So have it. And it just flew out. And you could see everybody. Kerr just watched it go over his head and stare across the pitch as if say, what the fuck was that, mate? What are you doing? And at times, he's frustrating. But the problem is, Moyes has sort of painted a little target on the back of Fornals. And every time he starts, Moyes just paints a bigger target on Fornals' back. And it's only going to get bigger and bigger until either A, Cornet's back, B, Fornals has a really good game, or C, Moyes doesn't play him left wing. And that's that. One of those three things has to happen. Otherwise, this whole frustration with the inclusion of Pablo Fornals is going to continue. Listen, when we go to Anfield in 2 weeks' time, I understand why Moyes might say, do you know what, I'm going to play Fornals left wing just to stop Alexander-Arnold getting forward and getting the cross. I get that. Fine. I get it. But at home to Fulham, I mean, I hope there won't be, right? I know this will not have happened. I just pray when that Fulham team sheet came in and we realised Bobby Reid was right back, I hope there was almost a little bit of shame with David Moyes where he thought, oh, bugger, that's their weakness there and I can't really capitalise on it because of my team here. Had I had Ben Rama there, I'd be going into my changing room right now and saying, Saeed, come here, look who's right back. Look. We're going to be getting you the ball as much as we can. Take him on. And I just hope when he's seen Bobby Reid right back, there's a little bit of him just went, bugger. There's my opportunity. And I fluffed it because I've got Fornals playing there. And I can't say Fornals, come here. I want you skinning him because we know it's not something he can do.
No, but he can spot Fornals to the right and Bowen to the left.
He could have done something. He could have changed it up a little bit. He could have done something. So I'll give Fornals a 5. Again, just clarity, 5 is bang average, and I thought that's what he was yesterday.
You've mentioned Flynn Downs there. That's the other person that gets brought up all the time. I guess I don't know how to word this exactly. Let's word it this way. Why does Soucek stay in the side? Let's just flat out ask it like that, because I think a lot of people, for example, would quite bluntly say, right, we take Soucek out, we put Downs in, Bob's your uncle, grand old time, we move on, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a tactical or whatever reason why Soucek continues to get picked?
I think there are a couple of things with Soucek, and they're annoying to describe, because actually I think Flynn Downs offers a lot more in that midfield in terms of his ability to contribute and build up. He kind of alleviates some of those issues on the right side of the pitch. He allows our progression to be a little bit smoother. I think we see in the Anderlecht game something really crucial from kind of David Moyes' perspective for a midfielder is his timing of when to move forward and to commit to interceptions was absolutely perfect throughout the whole match. He didn't make a single mistake in terms of when to move out of that kind of defensive position, move forward, anticipating situations where it was the right moment to go and try and make a tackle or make an interception. Perfect. No notes throughout the game. The problem is, look at David Moyes and how he likes to use midfielders. He's talked a lot about Declan Rice offering more around the box. He wants shots from outside the box from Rice, something to in terms of his goal threat. Thomas Soucek, a goal threat. Look at previous midfielders we've targeted or been interested in. Hans van Aken, someone we really wanted in the summer window. Another midfielder who can play in that area who would be a goal threat. He kind of, my view of this is he kind of wants his number 8s to be able to offer something in the opposition box. What are you going to do for us there? Are you going to get assists? Or are you going to score goals? You know, does Flynn Downs offer that at the moment? Does Flynn Downs have a skill where he's going to be useful from a corner, where he's going to be useful from a free kick, where he's going to be able to pop one in from outside the box, where he's going to be able to rotate with someone and get in the box? Not that I've seen. And actually you see that kind of underlined in the Anderlecht game, because when he does get through, his finishing is absolutely atrocious off his left foot. He had a good chance in that game. So I think that's the next thing that Moyes will want to see from Downs. And then the other thing is that it's always going to be a difficult thing for David Moyes to take someone out who's such a focus from long balls, who's such a focus at defending corners. You know, there needs to be a clear person in the side who's going to replace, you know, that function. If you look at kickoffs, who defends them and who attacks them? Thomas Soucek. We kick the ball long to Thomas Soucek. When the opposition take a kickoff, he drops in alongside the defenders and is there to challenge the aerials. These are kind of really important parts of just defending kind of set plays and stuff like that happen a lot in football and are often the most threatening aspects of a football match. Free kicks, corners, you know, when the player's stopped and the opposition are allowed to just restart play, doing something that you can't anticipate. It's really important to have someone who you go, right, well, that guy's just going to go and get on the ball. Like wherever the ball goes, he's going to chase it. He's really tall. He's good at timing his leaps. You know, that's a really key role. So there are two things, really, that one, it's going to take a while for David Moyes it's going to take exceptional level of performance from Flynn Downs to go, all right, that role that Thomas Soucek performs in the side, what you're offering elsewhere is more valuable. So we can lose that because we gain more when you come in. And in order to gain more when he comes in, I think he's going to have to offer something in the final third. There's going to has to be something he can do there, unless we switch to a 4-3-3 and he plays at the base of that, because then I don't think you need that midfielder to be such a goal threat. At the moment, with the way that we're playing, with the way we played against Fulham, unfortunately, I don't see that. I wish I did see that. That's what I'd really like to see. We've talked about it before. Yeah. I see us continuing with the 4-2-3-1. I can see some success with that, given the way that we used it against Fulham. But in that context, yeah, it might take a little bit longer for Downs to get in there.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It's just because it's one of those things that always gets brought up, and I don't really know how to say it. My thing is just David Moyes. He just does things.
Well, it's one of those things that unfortunately just is kind of just niggly and annoying. If you get what I mean, it's like. So we kind of reduce it down to, well, Moyes just loves Soucek, doesn't he? That's why he has to play. You know, these kind of elements of a game. You know, no one goes to a football match to watch the team kick off and punt it long, 12 times. Yeah, it's not what we're going to see. You don't go to a football match to go, well, that was an exhilarating defense of a corner or a free kick or a long ball. No one cares. You're not really switched on in those elements as a fan, because it's boring. It is boring. I'm sorry, it's boring to watch. You're not riveted by those parts of a game, but they are very important parts of a match, and you have to have a very clear idea of how you're defending them. And unfortunately or fortunately, however you look at it, Thomas Soucek is central, is the crucial player to how we deal with all of those situations.